Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a story of heroism that just went completely off the rails. This is the fifth adventure in the Shadows of Faerûn campaign, and it is a goddamn masterpiece of terrible, terrible decision-making.
All right, so let's just get right into it. Our heroes have managed to get their hands on a very, very cursed magic item. And of course, they've cooked up some truly inspired ideas about how to power it up. And by inspired, I mean monumentally stupid.
So this whole mess starts with Faerûn, our resident edgy monk. He's got this charming little accessory called the Withering Fist, and it came with some, let's just say, very specific instructions on the box. Now, you or I might, question the creepy murder note that came with our new magic toy, but not Faerûn. No, he decides the best and most logical course of action is to find the most innocent-looking rich family in town, pick out their daughter, and get right to work.
Their first plan was a true masterclass in failure. It kicked off with Faerûn trying to sweet-talk the lady of the house at the market with all the charisma of a wet brick. That went nowhere. So then Berlaka, the cleric, mind you, lures a servant boy outside with some sob story about a broken apple cart, only to completely whiff the knockout blow. The poor kid just screams and runs right back inside. Just truly pathetic stuff. Well, having failed at both talking and kidnapping, the party just defaults to their one true talent, a chaotic, completely uncoordinated home invasion. So they decide to try being sneaky. Their combined group effort to be quiet, to be shadows in the night, resulted in a grand total of 3. A result that you can only really describe as a fucking catastrophe. And this magnificent failure was thanks in large part to Farquaad's key contribution to the mission, immediately tripping over the threshold of the back door. He made enough noise to wake the dead and pretty much alert everyone in the goddamn house that they were there.
With the element of surprise completely and utterly gone, it was time for the party to do what they do best, which is, of course, turn a simple home invasion into a sprawling, multi-room brawl to the death.
So the first wave of resistance was a couple of house guards they ran into in the main foyer. They never really stood a chance and were dispatched with some pretty brutal, if clumsy, efficiency. But of course, because this is a rich person's house, they had a couple of animated suits of armor just standing around. And these things proceeded to beat the ever-loving hell out of the party for a good few minutes, soaking up an absolutely absurd amount of damage. And right in the middle of all the chaos, our tiny gnome Jinkle rolls a natural 1 on an attack and decides the fight needs a little more pizzazz. A stray firebolt goes wide and sets a giant curtain ablaze, because why the hell not? After finally dealing with the haunted home decor downstairs, they stormed the second floor and just smashed down the master bedroom door. And inside, they found the rest of the guards, the parents, and their son, all barricaded in there and ready for round 2. So, with the guards and most of the family either dead or dying, it was finally time for the grand finale. The entire reason for this whole bloody mess. So after Faerûn guts the daughter, Isolde, our cleric, Berlaka decides to help. He picks up the corpse, holds it right over Faerûn's head, and just wrings it out like a wet towel. Yeah, a totally normal and holy thing for a man of the cloth to do. And what do you know? The absolutely disgusting blood ritual actually worked. The fist transforms from just a piece of scrap metal into this throbbing, pulsing, cursed superweapon that can now deliver an automatic critical hit. So, totally worth it. Right, so you can't just commit a whole-ass family massacre without some proper aftercare. And by aftercare, I of course mean you've got to frame your favorite beholder crime lord for the whole thing. The party really went the extra mile on this one. They left the father alive, but only after making him watch them mutilate his entire family. They decapitated the guards, arranged the heads all nice and ritualistically, and then carved the Xanathar sigil into his dead wife. And then onto his own chest, just for good measure. After looting the entire manor for gold, gems, and one single flawless ruby for Farquaad, the party finally had a moment of clarity, a shocking realization about their recent life choices. So I gotta ask you, what do you do after you've brutally murdered an entire noble family, set their house on fire, and left a trail of chaos and madness in the biggest city on the Sword Coast? What's the next logical step? You get the hell out of Dodge and you head for the desert. And the first step to any great escape is, of course, Grand Theft Equine.
Because why would you pay for a horse when you can just steal one? It's really the perfect end to a perfect crime.